Word first, sorry. Oh, never mind. Okay. So hi, my name is Gianna Zhang. I'm gonna be a senior at Granada Hills Charter High School in the fall, and I'm gonna be interviewing Karen today with Valentina.
Okay, my name is Valentina, and I'm gonna be the senior too in Granada Health Charter High in the fall.
And then Karen, if you would like to introduce yourself as well.
A former Granada Hills charter student. I'm going to be a UC Riverside freshman this fall.
Any fun facts?
I guess my hobbies are crocheting, drawing, and painting, and I like playing with my stuffed animals, cookies and cream and peppermint.
Okay. So I guess we're just gonna get into the questions then. So the first one we have is why did you want to major in your major, like in computer science?
Didn't get involved in STEM until middle school since I played with Barbie dolls in my childhood. I dreamed of pursuing a career in the fashion or beauty industry back then. However, my parents told me that computer knowledge is an essence of the 21st century and encouraged me to take computer science. It was fun learning how computers do math, and learning about strings. And yeah, computer science, as I took the class, I learned that it gives flexible job offerings.
Mm, Thank you for that.
Okay, and so next question: which classes in high school or school in general were the most helpful towards such a major?
I would say computer science principles, because at my school, I had a teacher who was really helpful. She gave us hands-on activities, which would help me understand concepts a lot more, such as differentiating between and like STEM related classes in general, like calculus. I took Introduction to CAD and Robotics in ninth grade because my school offered it, and it was just fun building the robot and programming it.
Okay. So,
Next, oh,
are there any classes you recommend? Oh, so in general, what class you recommend in high school if you have the similar major?
Like computer science principles is the only thing I kind of have in mind that I for sure could recommend. I mean, I can think of calculus, but some people aren't really math oriented, but I guess calculus works.
what about like computer science? Because our school offers like computer science A and
Well,
B, right?
yeah, so my experience at Computer Science A, although it was pretty easy and basically like a review of computer science principles the fall semester of Computer Science A, like the teacher made it really challenging the second semester of it, which is why I didn't really enjoy Computer Science A that much overall. Like my experience was that the teacher, oh, I shouldn't say her name, the teacher gave us a lot of work. So, for example, when we did multiple choice practice questions either on the AP Classroom or Albert.io, she would require us to write out every wrong answer and explain why we got the answer wrong and why the correct answer is correct. And I've heard many people just cheated or find the answers on the internet to escape all like that handwriting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that. What extracurriculars, teams, or organizations were you a part of in high school? And do you think participating in any of these like benefited your choice of major?
I tried joining several school clubs and academic teams, such as the Granada Hills Charter Space Club. Forensic Science and SAVE, which is an acronym for Students Against Violence in Education, Science Olympiad, and Cyber Patriots, but I didn't really show any strong commitment to these extracurriculars, and although I do justify the COVID-19 pandemic as a big reason for my lack of commitment, I would just rather enjoy my home hobbies like art, like the drawing, painting, and crocheting, rather than like force myself into like STEM related extracurriculars.
Thank you.
Okay, and are there any other college you get accepted to, and why didn't you choose them? Any regret? And what aspect did you consider when making the final choices?
So other colleges I got accepted into are UC San Diego, UC Santa Cruz, and UC Merced. I didn't choose UC San Diego because I got in as an undeclared major, and with undeclared, it leads to an uncertainty of whether I can get into computer science later on, because computer science is indeed a very hot, like highly competitive field to major in. UC Santa Cruz, I got into bioengineering, and with my dad's advice, he told me that with bioengineering as a major, I'm pretty much limited to pharmaceutical work. I'm not really interested in pharmacy stuff, so that's why. And UC Merced, it's in the middle of nowhere, which means I probably don't have good public transit amenities, which is probably essential because I didn't really learn to drive yet.
Did you like have a major for UC Merced that you got into?
I also got into UC Merced's computer science major.
Hmm. Right, thank you. Next question. Why do you think you got into the school you did, and what do you think made you stand out as a person?
So I think UC Riverside, because its acceptance rate is about 69%, it's a relatively easy school for me to get into. If you go to algorithms such as Niche or CollegeVine, they do give you like the chances you'll get into each school by inserting your GPA and your SAT score. So I used that, and I did get a pretty high chance of getting into Riverside. And for the uniqueness, for one of my responses in my UCPIQs, I wrote that I showed care for the environment by using dryer lint and scraps of yarn and cloth as stuffing when I make stuffed animals.
Do you think the College Vine like website is accurate? Because I also tried it, but I'm not too sure if I should trust it or not.
To be honest, I don't know either.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. And next question. Did you apply for any scholarship or get any scholarship? If so, do you have any tips or scholarships that you recommend participate apply for?
I didn't really apply to scholarships.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Did you, so you said you submitted a supplementary like addition to your application, like an art portfolio, I believe.
Yes.
Do you think submitting that was beneficial in your application process? And if you want to, could you show it to us, like share your screen and stuff?
I'm not sure if it was beneficial, probably because like I only showed my art portfolio to like private 5%, 3% acceptance rate schools that I applied to, such as Caltech and MIT. But I guess it helps show to the admission staff like how talented I am, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
ensure I could share if I'm able to successfully share screen.
I think you should have access. Can you share your screen? Can you see?
I think so.
Mhm.
Uh, so, so far, what I've submitted for my art portfolio are like some of my biggest art accomplishments, and it's art related to like global events.
Mm-hmm.
So this was about the first piece of clothing I made completely on my own. And the second one is about my emerging love for hats. I like black cats, and I do want to address discrimination among black cats that happen, like due to myths of black cats being associated with bad luck. This one I might not share. I might skip over because that
Mm-hmm.
one is controversial.
That's
But
fine. Yeah, don't
this
worry.
one, the recent fight between Israel and Palestine, I did it as a way to, support, the Palestine liberation. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
really hope things are okay there. And just expresses the last two art pieces express my love for nature, like plants and birds. So that's
Ooh,
all.
very nice. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, and the next question, did you do any type of community service or volunteer work? If so, what were they and how they benefit you? What did they teach you? And
Yes,
it's
I've been
how is
Oh yeah. Yeah,
sorry.
I've been doing volunteer work within Cheers, such as leading the paracord bracelet project and participating in the cheer cleanups. I would say more importantly, leading the paracord bracelet project was important, or it did emphasize my leadership skills. And I've heard that leadership is something colleges really value, especially when they moved from simply numbers admissions to like a more holistic approach to admissions.
Okay. And how do you think they align with the college requirement?
Uh, Leadership. So it's like that leadership is probably like an important factor in college admissions somehow because they look at your activities list, which is why they have activities. And colleges vary. Mostly they consider activities between, I'd say, 25 to 30%, as 25 to 35 or 25 to 30% of like your entire like chance of getting admitted. So, and they want to see like
Okay, thank
huge
you.
commitment, like a strong commitment to your activities, which is why, again, leadership is something colleges value.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Did you take the SAT, ACT, or APs? Which APs did you take? And if so, do you have any tips that you would give to students preparing for these tests, like in the future or like in the moment?
So, yes, I took AP tests. I think it was like a total of 16, I think, out of all my
Wow.
4 years with Physics 1, Comp Sci Principles, Chem, and World History, along with the BC seminar, Computer Science A, Lang, and like stats, literature, research, physics C. Physics C is divided into two: physics C mechanics, physics C E&M, and macro and government.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly for the AP classes, I relied on teacher provided course material. Sometimes I would use AP practice test books if my it's for the APs that my parents really emphasize that they want me to pass. I used the practice books for Physics 1, Chemistry, and the Physics C tests. The chemistry did really help. I was really committed to the practice tests my mom ordered for me for AP chemistry.
Mhm.
For physics one, I was kind of lazy. It was online learning, and I didn't really have the motive to study. And physics C, I just couldn't really take the practice tests my mom ordered me because I absolutely didn't get anything from physics C, E, and M from the class I took.
What about like SAT and ACT? If you have any
So
tips
I
for those
did not
tests.
take the ACT, but I took the SAT. So I also used practice books for the SAT. It's when I took PSAT in grades 10 and 11, and for the March 2023 SAT, I also used Khan Academy for those. And to be honest, I would say Khan Academy was more helpful because they were college board based tests.
Hmm.
Like other forms could be slightly different, which could make the tests be a little off.
So
But
you use did you use Princeton review or like Barron's for
I
like
use
AP?
Princeton review books.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
took the SAT again in August 2023, and for that one, my parents put me into an elite boot camp because they wanted to try to raise my score even more. I got a 1290 on the March 2023 essay. So my mom convinced me by saying Elite can raise your SAT score but up to 200 points. But like in reality, my SAT score only raised by 90 points to 1380. And Elite, I would say for the math, it was really helpful because of the tutor. Like he showed like shortcut methods for approaching systematic equations, inequalities, and stuff like that. But for the reading and writing, Elite wasn't that helpful. It's just reading by nature. It is the slowest section to grow in,
Mhm.
and although the reading tutor said to read more, I would more accurately say that it depends on how well students speed read and develop close reading strategies when you speed read, and that should be practiced more.
This was,
And
oh, sorry.
feel I learned where to put emphasis by circling, boxing, or underlining pivot words such as however, but, yet, tone, transitions, etc., you know?
You took the written one, right? Not the digital
Yeah,
one?
I'm the old-fashioned paper and pencil.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you take any like college courses or dual enrollment?
Yes, because VAPA, which stands for Visual and Performing Arts class, was required for my school to graduate in. I didn't want to take an art class because, like, I feel like, despite me as an artist, I feel like art classes in school do restrict the kinds of topics you can do your art on, and you have to be committed to your art piece for like a whole year.
Hmm.
So I took like theater, intro to theater through Pierce College. I also took psychology through Pierce College this summer between my junior and senior year because I thought I wanted to do the IB computer in senior year, but then I changed my mind for IB computer because overall the teacher for comp sci I didn't have a good experience with her.
All right.
So next question. What was the overall application process like for you? Like,
So the
so
way
how
I
you
got
get?
So the way I got teacher references was that I picked the teachers I felt I had the best relationships with because I'm not really the student who likes to approach the teacher, get their attention, and become close. It makes me feel like a teacher's pet in some way, and I don't really want to be treated like that. So I never had a teacher for more than 1 year as well, which made it tough. And although I did build excellent relationships with my Algebra 2 and Physics 1 teacher in ninth grade, it was recommended that I pick teachers I had in my junior or senior year because if I for the teachers I had in the earlier years, they probably forgot me. So luckily, I remembered how extroverted and funny my history teacher was in 11th grade and how small my calculus class was. So that determined the two teachers I asked letter of recs for. And yes, the overall application process was indeed stressful. I didn't really organize a list of all the colleges I want to. And it's just the combo of classes. They were all APs. I took all AP classes in senior year, and I had like a lot of like heavy workload classes like literature, physics, research, and stats. Yeah. And I started preparation in June, the summer between my junior and senior year. And like the summer between my junior and senior year was when I started working on my UC PIQs. And you should definitely start in the summer. You should probably start building a list of colleges starting ninth grade because there are some colleges you definitely know you want to attend, you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
What
Um,
question? Because we start to write our application in the fall, and it, is it benefit for us if we choose a lot more AP class in senior year, though we don't have the score?
To be honest, I'd say it's been so normalized to take 5 APs. I don't know. It depends on your threshold, to be honest, and how well you're able to manage your time and how well you're able to survive on sleep deficiency. Because I know there are students, many other students who could do those, stuff.
I would also say like choose classes that you want to do. Like I didn't have a good experience with AP English language. I absolutely hated it. So next year I'm not going to take an AP like English class because I did not like it at all. So yeah, just like do the classes you would want to do and ones that you didn't have good experience, don't do them again. It's not worth it.
And also consult former students about the workload and the difficulty.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
So is there anything you would have done differently in your application process, and do you think you balanced your time well overall?
I wish I started to build a list of colleges that I want to attend and be realistic about the colleges. Like such as like considering how hard it is to get in for say Yale. Yale is a school I did early action for. Uh Yeah, I wish I would have finalized a list of colleges before my senior year, honestly, and took an easier combo of classes. I didn't balance my time well. I procrastinated in some of my classes, to be honest, because they were all time consuming, such as AP research. Mm.
Okay, thank you. And the next question, any tips for student in high school you have in terms of the extracurricular program and pursuing their interest?
Yes, like students shouldn't force themselves into extracurriculars related to their field. don't really like be like people pleasers and please their parents because from what I know, when I was in ninth grade, my mom wanted me to join the science team, but I absolutely had no interest in like joining any school teams or clubs in ninth grade because it was all online learning and I just didn't want extra screen time. Uh, and for pursuing interests, I'd say because the US school system is flawed. It doesn't really direct students or like, kids to like specific classes dedicated to their interests. It's like it's normal to be undeclared. And for that, I would suggest use the opportunity to take every class you find interesting.
Okay, thank you. Now we're gonna open it up to the audience if the audience has any questions for Karen. You can also ask it through the chat if you don't want to turn on your mic. I have a question for Karen if nobody has one. So I was like, I already made an account for like UC applications, and I was like looking at the whole thing and how you only had like, or was it Common App? I don't remember. It was one of them. But how do you like fit the like word count for your activities? You know how you can list out certain activities and describe them? How do you fit the
So
word count?
like I learned that like for filling out your activities list, it doesn't have to be exactly complete sentences, is what I remember. And you should try drafting and like seeing what words you can eliminate.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, this is a question I always ask for in every interview. So, Karen, do you have any reflection with your parents or any question to Asian parents? Any advice?
Uh, Advice. So I guess don't get mad if your children or child ever fail their AP exams. Because like AP exams don't really dictate someone's success or like it doesn't really hurt their chances of admissions, especially if they choose to withhold their scores. Cause yeah, I did fail one AP exam, which was lame, cause it's my lack of ability to being able to read closely fast, and also English is not really my strong like subject. But yeah, I would approach like failed AP exams as like a way to move on, just a way to get better, at the subject. You failed your AP exam in. Mm.
So it's like not the end of the world, right? You said you applied to Yale for EA. I was also thinking of doing that, but I don't know if that's too ambitious or like how did you go about doing it?
To be honest, because I didn't think of any private schools or out-of-state schools until like last minute, and what I mean is that like the summer between my junior and senior year, I didn't start thinking about private and out-of-state colleges. It's because I was long told that like, oh, it's unaffordable, it's too expensive, I should only apply to in-state, but then yeah. So I kind of like I don't know. So back then, when I applied to Yale or when I did my Common App essay, I was through something, so I wrote about that moment. Yeah. And for my supplementals, it took a while for me to decide on the topics. Yeah, even though it was last minute. It was a lot more stressful because I didn't use professional help for that application. Yeah.
Karen, I have a question. How you start to write your application essay? Do you find any like tutor or something to help you?
Oh yeah, so I did use a writer professional when I worked on my UC personal insight questions. Uh, I just didn't use a professional for like the other colleges I applied to. Wasn't too sure why. Maybe I thought I was good enough, and I thought I since school was open, I thought I was good enough with like teachers helping me. I guess I just underestimated, you know, the difficulty of writing to private colleges because I think they are indeed more difficult private college applications because you have to write supplementals about why us or why this major. You be really careful about the wording.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Karen. First,
Ah,
congratulations to you to get your the major that you really like. So
thanks.
my question is kind of follow up to Holly's question. So what your parents did you think is very helpful to your college application, and what they did, if you don't mind, I ask what they did you think maybe it's not necessary or maybe giving you a little stress during the application process.
Well, would it be like hiring a tutor or like a college essay professionalist? Because it does save me time. Like it helps like by hiring a college essay professionalist, like I was able to get my essays done pretty quickly. Like I used one for my UC personal insight questions, and I was able to get them like pretty much polished in like 3-ish weeks or so. And for like what my parents did that was unnecessarily stressful, I guess it would be like pushing me to join STEM related extracurriculars. Because to be honest, it was COVID, and for extracurriculars, I didn't want to spend extra screen time to join clubs or school teams when I was in ninth grade. And for 10th grade, I just don't want to stay extra long for extra time at school because of face mask restrictions, and I just didn't want more time being at risk for getting COVID. And I just by virtue enjoy like my crocheting more because crocheting was new to me because I learned it during COVID.
How did you go about writing your like personal insight answers? Like, because I know there's 8 questions and then you choose from 4 of them. How did you choose the 4 questions and like what was your whole
I
process?
worked with a tutor. They first required me to write down like an activities list or like, an interest list so they could decide what topics I can write about. And that's how I was able to select my questions. So, for example, I wrote about like me, my experience learning from leading the paracord bracelet project for like question 1, which is the leadership question for the PIQ.
Did you like apply for any financial aid? Because I know some colleges are like really expensive these days.
Oh yes, when I applied for the private colleges such as Yale, Caltech, Stanford, and MIT, I had to do something called the CHSS. I don't remember, but like it's something like CHSS, and it's dedicated to most like private colleges for financial aid, although there are a few public colleges I know that use CHSS. And of course, I filed FAFSA.
Hmm.
Hmm. However, I messed up on FAFSA, yeah, so my form for FAFSA is incomplete, and after all, from my conversations with my dad, he told me like, to decrease or to make your college debt smaller, avoid taking loans your first year. It's because for my household, yes, we can afford to pay out of pocket for tuition.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay. If not, I guess we're gonna stop the meeting here. Thank you all for coming, and thank you, Karen, for allowing us to ask you all these really personal questions. We really appreciate it. And I found this interview really helpful, and I hope the audience did. So yeah, thank you again.